What's up, Freelancers? Welcome to a brand new Freelancer Spotlight. Taking a look at Magnus The Kingpin, new Frontliner to Atlas Reactor. He just came out to PTS server about a couple hours ago. So I'm going to show you what he looks like, what his skins are, as you're seeing right now, though it shows Nev. Like I said, it's a PTS server. It's very experimental. And I tried doing a custom game to show you guys what he would kind of be like on the battlefield, and it didn't really work out. So, let's talk about his abilities, and we'll do a practice match, and I'll show you what they all look like, and, do the usual. His first ability, Power Drive, throw a punch dealing 26 direct damage. Each turn you don't use this ability, it powers up, increasing the range. The second arc deals 14 direct damage, and the third arc deals 10 direct damage, can power up 2 times. It's a pretty nice ability for his main primary. So it could power up 2 times, but it just does less damage the farther away they are. That's technically what the first ability is. His second ability, Extinction Event, target enemies in an area. Next turn, a mark will appear at the location. An enemy at this location during blast phase will take 22 direct damage. Basically, I'm going to show you what it looks. I'm going to show you all the abilities, but what this one was is that it will first mark them in the prep phase, and then it'll do it in the blast phase. His third ability, Horns Up. Enter a ready stance and gain 10 shield. Next turn, you could use a charge which deals 26 direct damage and roots the primary target hit and 26 direct damage to targets hit by the horns. If you do not use the dash, gain 20 shield, goes on cooldown regardless of ability used. So that's kind of a neat little thing. It doesn't show as a dash, but it is a prep phase ability and a dash phase ability once it's activated. Though, as it says, if you don't use it, you gain 10 additional shield. So that's another thing. Plus, it's a two-turn cooldown, which is actually pretty nice. His fourth ability, Deal Breaker, Uppercut enemies for 26 direct damage and toss them to the selected square. Technically, it's just a little like 1 or 2 square for range. His ultimate, Boss Around, shout at enemies dealing 30 damage. Targets hit are forced to follow you this turn. So, let's talk about Magnus the Kingpin. Sorry about that sound, guys. So, here's basically what he is. He's a frontliner, but he's very, I guess you could say, he could be very aggressively played. He's got 200 health, and he can gain more by shield. So, if you use his dash ability, per se, the one that would gain 10 shield on the first activation of the prep phase and then dash phase later on, he can get up to 210, 220 health total. But let's just say he has 200 health for now. So the first ability I'm going to show you is his, I think it's called Power Drive, yes. And that is the one that does the additional range. So as you see here, the cone is got 2 layers now. The inner side is 26, the farther side is 14. If you had a third stage, it would be 10. So that's how that's going to work if you're trying to do a frontliner. But if you're playing frontliner at this point, you're basically doing it to be highly aggressive. You're trying to take damage to your teammates, but you're also trying to annoy the living hell out of the supports or primary targets you're going after. And the second ability you're seeing here is Extinction Event, which is a circle on the ground. It looks like an AoE, and it'll mark them. I don't know necessarily what would happen if they moved. But, yes, okay. An enemy at this location during blast phase will take 22 direct damage. So if they were to stay there, I guess they would take 22 direct damage. But this is just, as I said, this is all experimental, and I'm just showing you guys what it is. I'm going to assume that's what would happen. If they were still there, they take 22 direct damage. It would be nice to have them rooted or do like trap phases to where you have like Finn use his ultimate and they would be knocked down, or if you use like Nyx to trap them with his Overwatch drone, or so on and so forth. This ability right now you're going to be seeing is the dash one, and that is called, sorry, I have a thing on here and it's just annoying, Horns Up. And what it does basically is that he gets a 10 shield. The second phase, however, when he wants to dash, it has these 3 type of, like, it looks like a horn type thing. And the dash is pretty far. I'm surprised at how far it actually went. So first off is just dashing away from somebody. If you decide, well, you're low enough health, you really can't do anything about it, dashing away, though not hitting anybody, is still a decent move regardless. But if you do hit them, that's 26 direct damage. So that is one thing to notice. So one of the other things about this is that his ultimate is really odd to me. And what it does basically is that when you shout at enemies, it's in a cone formation. It's a very far cone. I can't really say it would be like Zuki's ultimate, or even L's for that matter, but it's pretty far nonetheless. And what it does is that, though it does 30 damage. That doesn't seem a whole lot to a lot of people. That's true. However, his secondary effect is targets hit are forced to follow you this turn. If you move, like if you are leading them away from, let's say, your ally, or you're leading them to a trap, or you're even trying to get them to, get out of positioning, using this ability is actually pretty big. He's a frontliner, but he's a frontliner that allows them, that does, I guess you could say, a taunt. And I don't mean taunt as an Atlas Reactor taunt, you're going to be taunting and whatever, look all cool and stuff. I'm talking about like an MMORPG, If you taunt in an MMORPG, you take aggro. People will attack you. And that's technically what his ultimate does. Instead of attacking him, though, they follow him. So if he moves on that turn, I didn't move in the blast phase, sorry about that. But if you do move in the blast phase, then they follow where you go. So that helps you and your teammates, depending upon the situation, whether you're in trouble or not. And that's pretty big when you're talking about positioning an Atlas Reactor, because that's all it is. Without positioning, I mean, you can't really judge what they're going to do exactly, or how they're going to, play. So his one ability that I didn't really talk about was his Uppercut. And because the game kind of messed up and didn't show it clearly enough, I'm going to show you a second time all his abilities. So that's his extinction event, which looks like laser beams coming from the sky. Kind of reminds me of the ion cannon from Command & Conquer. And that one you just seen was his Uppercut. So it's not that far of a range. So when you hit them, they'll fly like 1 or 2 blocks. And all it does is just knock them back. That can be used for traps, like Lockwood's Trap and Stripwire, or as I said, Nick's Overwatch Drone. You could use Celeste Trap as well if you want to just trap them up, and that is basically Magnus the Kingpin. All around, he looks like a great character either way. For the Freelancer that he is, and for a frontliner, he's pretty beefy, and he does pretty good amount of damage. But anyway, guys, just like always, if you liked the video, give it a like. If not, I'll see y'all later. This is Punching Out, signing out.